Am I the a-hole for refusing to apologize to my brother? I, 38 female, was in a horrible relationship and have a 1-year-old son. I have a restraining order against my ex, and unless my ex takes me to court, he can't see his kid. My family know most of what happened, and they say they're on my side. I just got out of the refuge and into my own flat with my son, and ex doesn't know where we live. My brother, 40 male, was helping me move some stuff, and so we talked, and he kept asking, so, how does ex see his kid? Me, being dumb and not putting 2 plus 2 together, told him there's a form, it's free, and he needs to take me to court. If you worked out what my brother did next, yay, have a cookie, cause I was so blindsided that a family member would tell my ex exactly what form and what to do. I did double check that he didn't give my address, and the reply wasn't present, shaming me really for checking on our safety. Also triggered panic attacks and PTSD. So I sent my brother a message the next day explaining how hurt and angry I was, asking why he did that. First he tried to gaslight me saying I asked him, then changed to, a kid needs a dad. I flipped out and said for the countless time that he pulled a knife on me and was answered that it was only against me and not my child, the argument's not the knife, that a baby doesn't disappear because there's an argument. The same ex that made social services want to put my baby in care, making me flee my home and live in a refuge 6 months, he says needs to be in a baby's life. Now he's not talking to me apparently, and my mom wants me to apologize to him because I yelled at him in text. I honestly want nothing to do with him. If that's his idea of support, I don't want it. But on the off chance I'm an a-hole for not apologizing, please let me know. P.S. This post will be shared with all relevant members as my words, tears, and breath are being wasted. And I keep being blamed for reacting to something that affects mine and my son's whole life. I get things muddled in my head sometimes, so if it doesn't make sense, also let me know. Also, yes, it is a breach in the non-molestation because he did it through someone else. I've collected a few breaches and reported them all, but because this one is through my brother, I bet 100% know that he will not admit / lie or whatever. Not to get involved now. I just got a letter from court. Not the a-hole. Your brother is a literal danger to you and your child and should be cut out of your life immediately. Shame on him for failing to protect his sister and nephew. What a disappointing garbage human. Thank you. I feel like I'm going mad as I'm being repeatedly told to apologize. I don't need any of these people really. I would not only not apologize, but I would cut your brother out of your life. He is a danger to you and your children by supplying information to your abusive ex. Tell your mother you will cut her off too if she continues to take his side. You need to take a stand, OB, otherwise your ex will end up on your doorstep one day. The brother is also a whiny, bratty baby who runs to tell mommy that his sister shouted at him through text, and mommy is trying to save his hurt feelings by making his sister apologize, even though he has now put her life and her son's life at risk. Grow up, brother. You're a brat. If anything happens to your sister, I hope you get charged as an accessory to the crime. Your brother violated your trust and put you and your child in danger. If anything, he should apologize to you for staying in touch with your horrible ex and knowing that is dangerous, telling him how to get visitation with his child. Now you know you can't trust your brother not to have your best interests at heart. You should go low contact with him, not a-hole. The mother is also toxic and should be cut out, and any other family members that will take their side, including her dad if he's still married to the mom. They're willing to let OP croak in order for this man to have access to his kid that he is also a danger to. It's messed up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my niece keep her old bedroom? My brother and his family had to move to a different city because of their son's medical needs. I actually owned a house they live in, but I didn't need that much space at the time I inherited it, so I let my brother's family live there. Since they were moving, my wife and I thought now would be a good time to move into the house ourselves. My brother's teenage daughter really did not want to move and go to a different school, so she asked instead to stay with us. We talked about it and agreed to it, so long as she didn't get into trouble and helped around the house. We also told her she would have to use the office downstairs as a bedroom instead of keeping her upstairs bedroom. There are only 3 bedrooms upstairs. My wife and I would be using the master and the other 2 bedrooms would be for our 2 kids, female 8 and male 4. She was not happy about it because the office is not as good as the upstairs bedrooms, which truthfully is true. It is smaller and does not have an attached bathroom like the bedrooms upstairs. It also has less natural sunlight, so it can feel a little like a dungeon. It also doesn't have a regular door. It has these panel shutter-like doors which we can add a latch to, but my niece has less private and secure. The thing is, our daughter has been wanting her own bedroom for a while now. She has shared a bedroom with her younger brother her whole life, and she is sick of it. When we had brought up this move to her, we had already promised she would get her own room. Given their ages, it makes more sense for them to have the bedrooms upstairs close to us, rather than farther away downstairs in the office by themselves. My niece, brother and sister-in-law, however, think it's mean to banish their daughter to the downstairs office when she's already dealing with enough change. They think that our kids can continue to share a bedroom because they're still young enough, and that it doesn't matter. Edit: a lot of people are mistaking the office room as being in the basement. It is not. Also, it does have windows. Now for the comments. Not a-hole. Your children are still young enough to need to be on the same floor as you anyway, for safety and comfort reasons. Plus, it's your house. She can go with her parents instead. Exactly this. Not a-hole. Opie didn't have to agree to their niece staying with them, especially when they had already promised separate rooms for their own kids. The parents are being unreasonable by thinking that her daughter just has to have everything she wants in this situation. Stay in the home and same school, but not have to adjust to the family that actually lives here. This is spot on. If I was a teen that wanted to stay at my same school with my friends, I would sleep in the dang basement and be happy about it. Jeez, I dream of a world without entitlement. Not a-hole. It was kind of you to allow your niece to stay. Caring for an additional child isn't easy. Especially a teenager. Especially an entitled teenager. Not a-hole. Wow, even your brother and his wife are saying you're the a-hole? After you let them continue to live in your house even though you have 2 kids? And you are only taking the house because they need to move. And still you generously offer your niece a room? It's probably time to let them fend for themselves. I didn't even consider that the larger family was in a smaller house, while they owned a larger one. My brother's family is actually larger than mine. They have 3 kids and we have 2. They pay rent just to cover maintenance, HOA fees, and taxes, and it's been around 16 years or so now. I don't know what they were expecting when they first planned to move, but I have made it clear to them that we would be living in the house permanently. Now for the mini update. After going through the comments together, my wife and I have realized that it is beyond our family's emotional and financial resources to have our niece live with us harmoniously. So I will be telling them that we are rescinding the offer. Last story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my boyfriend for not giving me money? My boyfriend and I have lived together for over a year now, but we moved into our own apartment 6 months ago. For 6 months, I paid almost all of the bills, rent, groceries, and extra expenses. I had a savings that is now gone, and I went into credit card debt. He was going through some health issues at a time, and although it hurt to watch my money go away, I knew it was what we had to do. It's just life, and relationships can't always be 50-50. He recently got a settlement that was almost $90,000, and he will be receiving more money. While we waited for the money to deposit, we had a conversation. I felt that I had contributed so much for a while, and it would help me out a lot if he gave me $4,000. I could pay my debt off and get my car fixed. He agreed to this. The next thing I know, he's buying a brand new car he didn't need. I thought it was dumb and expressed it, but I let him know it was his money and he could do what he wanted with it. He had a nice car that wasn't old, and I felt that he should have just paid that off. He rushed to do everything because he was impatient, so right now he has 2 cars he's paying for. There's a whole backstory as to why this happened. It would just be too much to explain. So now he's worried about money all of a sudden, even though he still has $60,000 left. This is where we keep getting into arguments. Because we had discussed me getting money, I had made plans with what I was going to do with it. I made 2 large payments on my credit cards, because I assumed he was giving it to me that week. I try to bring up when he will transfer me the money, and his immediate reaction is frustration. We have an argument about it. I was upset because I felt embarrassed about it. It's embarrassing basically begging for money, and I was mad that we talked about something. and now it seems like he doesn't want to do it. I tell him that if it's a problem for him, to just forget it. I don't want to fight, but he ended up feeling bad and he sent me $1,000. I used all of that to pay down 2 of my cards. I tell him I want to sit down and talk about it again because we aren't understanding one another, and he tells me that he wants to lower the amount we agreed on since the stuff with his car is going on. I was obviously kind of upset because I wanted to use that money to fix my car and pay down my debt. So he says to pick what I want. Either he will fix my car for me or I take $1,500. I tell him I want to take the $1,500 because my goal was to pay my debt down. If I did that, it would take away how much money I'm paying monthly. Then I can save up to get my car fixed. I work from home, so I don't drive around much, and I can just take his car until I get mine fixed. We both seemed happy with that and moved on, until his parents came to town. His new car is a 2-seater, so they asked if we could take my car. I told them that I don't have AC. My brakes are squealing, my tires are bald, and my engine mount is really loud. So I try not to drive it unless I have to. They were horrified by this. And even though I begged them not to, they took my car to the mechanic to get new tires that day. I have no idea what his parents said to him, but he called that mechanic, got estimates, and is getting everything fixed on my car. This all happened so fast that I didn't know how to process it. I felt deeply embarrassed by his parents paying that much money to help me out. I was also confused about my car because him and I had made a deal on what we are going to do. I asked to talk to him again, and I said I was uncomfortable with what his parents did because I don't even know how I could properly thank them. He said not to worry about it because they love me and wanted me to be safe. Then I asked if I would still be getting the $1,500, and he lost it. We had a huge fight. He said, "No, you are getting your car fixed." I said, "Well, that's not what we agreed on." He gets mad and says I'm being ungrateful, and it's hurting his feelings. I said, "Then you are misunderstanding what I'm saying. Of course I'm grateful to have a working vehicle again. Having no AC in the summer sucks, and I've felt unsafe in my car. What I am mad about is that we have sat down multiple times now, and you've either ignored me or seem irritated that you have to give me money." We just kept bickering those 2 points back and forth over and over again. Then he says, "I have given you so much money already. What did you do with the $1,000 I gave you?" I snapped. Instead paid off the credit cards and went to debt in buying us groceries. So he had food to eat. Then he says, "Well, your car was important and needed to be fixed. We couldn't just have one vehicle." I said, "You know I don't drive a lot since I work from home." I get that at this point I was probably being petty, but I said, "Fine, I don't want another dime from you. But don't expect me to do anything with you. No dinners, going out to eat, no going out with your friends to the bar, nothing. Because I can't afford to keep up with your lifestyle. I will be paying this freaking debt off." He gets mad at me and says I'm throwing that in his face to be petty, because I know he would pay for me if we went out. I say I don't want it because he obviously has an issue with it, and I refuse to beg or have it thrown in my face. He then tries to say he is now paying all of the rent and I can't expect him to pay everything. I feel like that's BS, and I feel like our arrangement is fair. He pays all of the rent while I pay for Wi-Fi, electricity, and all of our groceries. That's a lot of money, especially the groceries. By the end of the argument, I was feeling guilty because I'm fighting with someone over feeling like they owe me money, and we left the argument somewhat unsolved. If we both are getting too heated, we try to acknowledge it so we can take time to talk away from it, think about it, and come together again. I feel like an a-hole because he went through hell to even get that money. We aren't married, so it's not my money, and he has already done a lot by giving me $1,000 and is paying to get my car fixed. But when I sit and think about it, I get mad because I only asked for $4,000 out of almost $90,000. I just can't seem to understand his side. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Leave him before he sucks you dry. He's taking advantage of your pride by making you bring it up again and again, and then berating you. There is so much wrong here. Not the a-hole. He was quiet when he was the receiver, taking and taking. And I'm sure he would have been upset with you if you would have said no about anything when he was the taker. And now that is his chance to reciprocate, he is showing you his true colors. The resentment you're feeling will keep building every time you're forced to be the giver and he refuses to give or be there for you when you really need it. His parents paid to get her car fixed. So that gives him the out of the money he owes you? He's the a-hole. I don't understand. If he has money in savings, why were you paying all the bills for 6 months? I would be petty and go to his parents with this. Be extremely thankful for them to fixing your car and just let it slip that you hope their son will be just as gracious as to honor their agreement on payment. Not the a-hole, OB. You have been too sweet in this regard. Not the a-hole, because this dude literally owes you money. He was happy to use you when he was hurting for cash, but now that he's flushed, he's painting you as some sort of gold digger and refusing to acknowledge the cash you put up to float him for 6 months. This guy is massively selfish, is fundamentally dishonest, and does not care about you. I would strongly suggest that you sit down, go through your bills from the 6-month period you confronted him, account for every cent, and then send him an invoice, minus the payments he's made so far. Make that the last conversation that you have about money, because after he pays it, you should break up. Also, when, not if, he refuses to pay what he owes and tries to start another argument about it or to guilt/gaslight you into thinking it's you being petty or money grabbing, walk away and end it right there. Then take him to the small claims court to recover the money he owes you. Believe me, OP, if you keep letting this go, it will become a pattern for him for the entirety of your relationship. He owes you money, and you're in debt because of him. I know you felt it necessary at the time, but now he's got the funds to repay you. He is refusing to do so.